Hello and welcome to another episode, even though it was done on the same day, of Modular with Martin, where I will explain the next module that I built, which is the double VCA and mixer, which is the module over here. So VCAs are usually not very interesting because they're utility modules. I will be using it in combination with my oscillator that I demonstrated previously. So maybe you don't know what a VCA does, so this may explain that as well. So the first thing I'm doing is having the CV input go into the oscillator. And then I take the output of the oscillator, and this one is just too short, output of the oscillator, and move it into the left VCA. So this is the left VCA, this is the right. I colored them yellow and purple so they match the knobs. And then the output of that goes to the output of the system, and oddly enough, even though I press buttons, you don't hear anything, and that is because the signal on this pin is currently not there. So if you put a signal on that pin, and we can do that just by hooking it up to the oct again, then the sound goes on and off. That's very nice, but that is of course not the intention of this module. The key is that you use a so-called envelope, and Mr Phil Ter has an envelope. You take the gate output that comes from the key and you move it to the gate input of the envelope, after which you can hook up the envelope output to the VCA CV input. So we'll take the fast one for now. We hook it up, and at that point now, if I press keys on the keyboard, you hear how it slowly fades away, which is done by the VCA. So the envelope sends the signal to the VCA, and the VCA controls the sound volume so that it slowly dies out. Now the nice thing about an envelope is that you can also influence the attack, in which case it makes a different kind of sound. In which it slowly wells up and then disappears. And you can also have the sustain, so it stays on. Or you can have no sustain, in which case it dies out again. Or you can have no attack, and you can make the release shorter. Anyway, that is the VCA. The mixer has the output over here, and if you just plug in the output there, it doesn't change anything, except that now, since that is the yellow knob, I can use the yellow knob to make it softer. See, it's now softer, and it is even softer now. Being softer by itself makes little sense, because you can always just control the volume elsewhere, but the moment you combine it with another tone, and I will just do a random sound from the Chipz chip module, which can go in here. So now we have a sound that is playing, and of course having the volume compared to that sound is interesting, because now I can make it softer. louder. And there's a second VCA. So instead of feeding the sound there, we can also feed it into the other VCA. We would need a second CV signal, which we can get from the CV from the MIDI, hopefully. I have actually not tested this, so we'll see. We feed that in the Chipz as well. The output goes in there, and then we need another envelope. And fortunately we have the Ataxia over here, which also has a built-in envelope, so we should be able to move the gate of the second MIDI channel into the trigger, and then the trigger out should be able to go into the VCA. Yep, that works. We may need to change the settings of the Ataxia a little bit. They may not be entirely in tune, but now you have the two VCAs mixing the sound. And obviously that third signal can still be added. And let's swap those. So now we have the three signals mixed and two VCAs that allow two envelopes to control. And I apologize for not tuning everything, but basically that is how the VCA and the mixer work. Thank you.